Today, we'll get to know one of the most important elements of any programming language, the variable. It's a named storage location which can be assigned a value. You think of it as a plastic toothbrush case, which can be either empty or a toothbrush can be stored in it. The toothbrush case is a variable, and the brush itself is the value of this variable. Before a new variable in Java is declared, you must first specify the data type which it will store. Type the name of the variable and a semicolon. In our example, it would look like that. The toothbrush, which is the type of the data, will store in the variable the toothbrush case, which is the name of the variable, and a semicolon. Once we have declared the variable, we can assign it some value. We must use the sign equals for that. Toothbrush case equals blue toothbrush semicolon. Similarly, we can assign a value to a variable immediately after it was declared. Toothbrush case equals blue toothbrush. We must also remember that we can assign the value of only the data type which we have specified. It means that we cannot put into the toothbrush case something like a guitar, for example. Java language allows several data types, which we'll consider in our future lessons. Today we're going to deal only with int type, which stands for integer numbers. So if we want to perform some operations with numbers and keep these values, we can create a storage for keeping an integer number, an integer variable. It's done the same way I showed earlier. Create int variable, give it a name, for example, number, and then assign it a value. For example, 5. Now we can perform all kinds of operations with this variable. Let's go to the code and see what it looks like there. Run Intellij IDEA, create a new project, File, New Project, click Next, and click Next again. Let's call our project Integer. Click Finish. We're prompted if the project is to be opened in the same window or in a new one. We won't need project Hello World, so I'll open a new one in the same window. So we have created the project. Let's create a class. Click the arrow next to our module, right-click SRC folder, click New, and Java class. Let's name the class Integer Manipulations. Let's create a program entry point so that this class can be run. Type psvm and press Tab. We have created method main. Now let's declare an integer variable and call it a. Type int a semicolon. Our variable is created. It's like a case for storing an integer number, but it's still empty. Let's declare some more variables and call them b and c. Now we are ready to assign them values. For example, a equals 5. We can easily do this here immediately upon declaring. Let's delete this line and add here int a equals 5 semicolon. Now we'll assign value of 7 to variable b. And variable c will get the value of a plus b. Since all values of these variables are numbers, we can perform any mathematical operations with them. Let's print the value of variable c on the screen. Type systemout.println. Because we want to print the value of a variable, we don't have to type quotations mark. Instead, we simply type variable c and run our project. And on the console, we see our value 12. Now it's not quite clear what this figure 12 means, because the println method prints out only its value and gives no clues. Let's display the clue as well. Within the quotation marks type A plus B equals, and after the quotation marks type plus, and the name of our variable. Systemout.println method allows us to print any line. In this case, it begins with a set of characters and is followed by the value of the variable. Let's run our project once again. Now what is displayed in the console is A plus B equals 12. Regardless of the fact that we have already assigned values to our variables, we can change them while the program is running. For example, let's increase the value of variable c by 5. Type c equals c plus 5. Run the project again. And we can see that it now displays a plus b equals 17. Well, this seems confusing. Let's correct that so it would display c equals 17. Now let's multiply variable c by 10 and assign this value to variable c. Type c equals c asterisk 10 semicolon and rerun the project. Now the value is c equals 170. So you can see that you can perform any mathematical operations with the integer numbers. And it's so important that the result of any such operation will be an integer number too. For example, let's assign the value of 10 to variable a, and variable b will equal 3, while variable c will equal the value of variable a divided by value of variable b. Don't forget about the semicolon. In this case, you will not see 3.33 on the console, because the value of variable c can only be an integer number. Let's run the code and see that. The message on the console reads c equals 3. When we work with integer numbers, we won't get fractional values, but we can get the remainder in division. For example, in this case, 10 divided by 3 equals 3, and 1 in the remainder. To get the remainder in division, the percentage operator is used. This line means that we need to get the remainder in division of a by b and assign this value to the variable c. In this case, we should have 1 displayed in the console. And so it is. Some of the entries in our code can be shortened, for example, this line. C equals c plus 5. It does nothing but adds 5 to the value of c. This can be written in a shorter way. Type c plus equals 5 semicolon. The line does exactly the same thing as this line. It increases its own value by 5. The same can be done here. C equals c asterisk 10 semicolon. It can be shortened to c asterisk equals 10 semicolon. It multiplies the value of c by 10 and assigns this value to itself, variable c. Now let's apply this knowledge to completing a small task. We'll be given a number of days, for instance 5,000, and we will have to count how many years, months, and days it equals. Let's create a new class. Call it days. Create a new program entry point. PSVM, press tab. Now let's create a variable which will store the number of days. Int days. Assign it a value of 5,000. Now let's create a variable which will store a number of years. Int years. Assign it a value of the number of days divided by 365. As these variables are integer, we'll get an integer number of years. And from the rest of the days, we'll need to get a number of months, and then the number of days. Let's create a variable for storing a number of months. Int months and equal sign. We need to get the remainder in division of the total number of days by 365. Since we divided it by 365, the remainder in division is less than 365, which means that the number of days is less than a year. And from this number of days, we need to get the number of months. So to do so, divide this by 31. To specify the order of mathematical operations, we can use brackets. Because first of all, we must get the remainder in division, and then divide it by 31. Now what is left to be done is to get the number of the days left. Let's declare a variable called left days. Type int left days equal sign. In order to get the days left, take the total amount of days and subtract from it both the days which made up the years, that is minus years multiplied by 365, and the days which made up the months, that is minus month multiplied by 31. Now let's display the result on the console. Type SOUT. Enter a text commentary to appear next to the value. Total number of days, colon, and put the value of the variable days here. Now let's display the number of years. Type years, colon, plus years. And let's display the number of months. Perhaps I have not told you how to type the system out println construction fast. To do that, it's enough to write SOUT and press Tab. Let's display the number of days. Now we can run the program and see what we have. We can see that in 5,000 days, there are 13 years, 8 months, and 7 days. If we type 365, it returns 1 year, 0 months, and 0 days. It means that our program works. At home, you will create a new class that will allow you to put in a number of seconds, and the program will convert this value into the number of days, minutes, and seconds and display it. Thank you for your attention. Good luck!